I'm with Dr. Inas Deeb from Hand in Hand. Now, Inas, what is Hand in Hand?
Hand in Hand is, first of all, it's an NGO. It's an organization that established 6 bilingual Jewish and Arab schools around Israel, in Israel, for Palestinians living in Israel and citizens and Jewish families who are interested to send their children to these schools. And so far we have 6 schools. We started in 1997. So this year, actually, we're celebrating 20 years.
Was there a need for a school like this?
The need started actually by 2 parents, a Jewish and Palestinian parent back then in 1997, where they decided that they could make a difference by creating an alternative education for their children, for their own children. So instead of sending their children to the regular segregated separate schools, they thought, why not make a change and bring up children together to learn together from an early age. So it started by having first a kindergarten, and then we grew up each year with the kids. And growing up to today, we have about 1,700 kids around the schools. I have to say that in addition to hand-in-hand schools, there are also 2 schools, one in Nave Shalom, Wahat Salam, which actually is located very close to Jerusalem, and it's a village where Jewish and Palestinian citizens live together in the village, and they send their children to the bilingual school. And there's another school, Hagar School, in the south, in Beersheba, in addition to hand-in-hand.
So in general, Jews go to a school and don't mix, and Arabs go to their school and don't really mix?
Yes. Most of the education system, or the mainstream in Israel, that it's a segregated education where children don't mix together, they don't communicate, they don't get to know each other on any level. Maybe later on they would meet in the university, but they most probably they also communicate in a limited way, more in things that related to studies, not politically and not socially. They meet in the hospitals. But in the bilingual schools, they are educated together. They learn the 2 languages. They learn about each other. They get to celebrate the holidays. They celebrate also their own birthdays and parties, which doesn't happen in any of the other schools. And that's what makes the whole difference between the integrated bilingual schools and the mainstream segregated schools.
Does that create a lot of suspicion when they're separated from both sides?
First of all, what it creates that the minute that you bring children and Arab children to be on their own, Jewish children to be on their own, it means to them and to the teachers that we should not know the other, and we don't care about the other, and we don't have to think of the other. So the suspicion and the fear, and then later on racism, is brought up or created because knowing the other does not exist. And when I say knowing the other, is not only knowing the language and not only knowing that this person exists around me. It doesn't even have to be my neighbor. And knowing the other, it's very inclusive and comprehensive. It means being curious and being curious to know and to socialize and to ask questions and not to fear to talk about the issues, the difficult issues. And the suspicion happens when you don't have this encounter. So what develops is that separation and a big gap that never comes into any means of communication, and the gap gets wider and wider. And anything you put inside stereotypical thinking and negative judgment about the other, it grows because you lack the knowledge about the other.
Is what you're doing very unique?
Of course, I think it's challenging. First of all, it's challenging because we're challenging the reality, where it's unique in a way that no one else tried it before or dare to try it. It's easy to say that it's impossible. It's easy to say that it cannot happen. And it's easier to say we are different, so we don't have anything in common. And it's easier to say let's ignore each other. The more daring and challenging and thing is to say no, we have to cope and find the common issues in at the same time not wiping out the differences. And the whole idea is to understand that we are different and we're not coming to normalize and to put the difficult issues beneath the table and not talk about it. On the contrary, we think that being together on a daily basis, and this is very important, being together on a daily basis, not for 1 month or 2 months as many other programs do in camps, summer camps, where they get Arab and Jewish students together or teachers. They take them for a short, very short program, and it does not have any continuation. Here we have a practice that we do it on a daily basis. So we realize that the difficult issues becomes part of our work, and that's why we bring the issues that happen outside the conflict into the school. We intentionally ask the children and the staff and the faculty to talk about it. We don't have answers to everything. We're not supposed to solve all the issues, but we believe that through dialogue and when we talk about the issues and we allow students to feel safe inside the school, that they can express their feelings, their fears, and they can talk about these issues. At least we know that we give legitimacy to each side to bring these issues, to talk about them, and to respect the other, even though if I don't agree with the other.
Are you seeing walls of hatred come down with what you're doing?
I think I could say that we're more like taming hatred. We cannot hate. First of all, let's say go like this way. Hatred and hate is a human instinct. Let's say, and love is a human instinct. What I think that we are doing in hand and also in the other bilingual schools are doing the same, is that we help everybody who is involved, also parents, to be aware of these instincts and to judge the other rationally, and to be able to refer to experience and knowledge that they have throughout the whole years that they are together. So then when they want to feel that they are not comfortable in one situation, they know why and how to deal with it, and not as in most of the cases where we see violence and hatred and racism is overwhelming outside, because simply it's there and people are not in control of it. They cannot tame it. And in our schools, I believe that children, even if at a specific moment they feel scared or they hate somebody, sometimes they can control themselves and say, I know how to address the issue. I can address it in a positive way. I can tame and put down my negative feelings because I have a message to reveal, which I think in in most of the cases where children are not given this opportunity, they don't. They simply don't. They behave in a way that violence and hatred is the norm. And in the bilingual schools, this is not the norm. The norm is talking, listening, respecting, and taking responsibility of how you address the other and the other issues that are in conflict.
Are your teachers Muslim, Christian, and Jews teaching together?
Yes, of course. Yeah. This is the whole. This is the unique thing, also. Okay, which they teach together, they plan together. They in the early school classes, they are we call it co-teaching. They teach at the same time, and they learn how to respect each other's views, and they bring in a combined lesson for the whole year, and this is very beautiful.
Is it difficult what you're doing?
It's very difficult, of course, because it's difficult in many ways. First, it's difficult because we don't have a guideline that somebody else did it and we can follow. We are the pioneers. We are the leading in educationally, pedagogically, ideologically. So it's difficult because we have to develop our own curriculum sometimes. We use the Ministry of Education curriculum, but there are some areas, specific areas and subject areas, disciplines that we have developed our own curriculum by the help of the teachers themselves. So our teachers are not regular teachers. They are amazing teachers because they are leaders in a way, each in her area. Not only in the classroom where they have to all the time to coordinate and work together with a colleague, but also we ask them to develop their own material, their own curriculum. It's difficult also because we do not put aside the conflict. We ask the teachers to deal with the issues and bring inside the classroom the conflict, whether it's a violence attack that happened to either side, to come to the classroom in the morning and talk about it. And in order to be able to talk about it to the students, they have to talk about it among themselves first in order to feel safe and confident. So this is a challenging thing that other teachers who are teaching in a regular school do not have to cope with. They are not asked to deal with the issues, or even if they are asked to deal with the issues, they can address it as one-sided. What is good for the Jews, what is good for the Arabs. They don't have to think how it is good for both, which I think most of the people in this country don't think about, what is good for both, and how can things work for both sides, and who is the sacrificing or who is the victim and why. All of these questions, many questions, are not addressed in any of the regular schools. In our schools, we address them on all levels, with the faculty, with parents, with students, in all ages also. But we don't bring big questions, of course, for the little ones. We know also this is another difficulty. Teachers have to know how to adapt and to what is relevant to which age. With the little ones, we try to answer questions because pupils bring the questions, and but without putting too much stress or information to 6-year-olds that they feel threatened in a way. It's something that they can we think it's suitable to their age.
So a Palestinian child will hear the thoughts and the hearts of an Israeli child, and an Israeli child will hear the thoughts and hearts of a Palestinian child.
Yeah, that's right. It happens in also in when they learn about the history, the two histories, the two narratives. So and this is something unique that we have developed. We don't teach the history in the Israeli Jewish books, and we don't teach only we teach the two narratives. I mean, the Independent Day for the Israelis is the Nakba Day for the Palestinians. And this is something that we give it the time, the curriculum, and children are confronted with the truth from each side. And we bring different resources. We talk about it from the two perspectives, and we talk about what it means for a Palestinian who lives in Israel and what it means for them, the 48 war, and how it is perceived by the Israelis citizen. Also, on that day, we have a special activity that we invite also parents and families to come at the end of the day on the 15th of May, which is the Nakba Day. We go and visit one of the demolished, you say, villages? Yeah, around here, around Jerusalem, and there are many, because we think that the learning happens also outside the school and outside the classroom.
So you're basically proving that Palestinians and Israelis can coexist and live together?
I don't like the word coexistence, and I think it's an old, and it has a very limited connotations. Coexistence is right when you have two groups who are having equal rights and equal power, and you're asking the two to make the same steps. But in our case, we know that there is one group who is in the power, who is in the authority, who is dominant, who is in authority, and is having all the rights and most of the financial budgets, and one group who's being, most of their villages are demolished.
More of a second-class citizen.
They're fighting, okay? They're not getting their equal rights, and they are still in until today, and the Nakba is still going on. The Nakba did not happen only in 48. The Nakba is still going on until today in different ways and in different forms. So I don't like the word coexistence. I think because we're not talking about two groups who have the same equal powers. One is the Palestinian group is still fighting for their existence, first of all, and I think in order to live together respectfully and equally, I think we should replace the word coexistence and go for shared, equal, and justice society, first of all, and we're very far, if not impossible for that, especially with the current government that talks only about that either us or them. So the word, yes, so that's what I think.
In the schools, are you one big family?
We're different families. Each one brings their own culture. They bring. We are a big family in a sense that I think sometimes there are occasions that you feel that we are one big family. There are other occasions that we celebrate the differences, that each has a different culture. But I think yes, there are certain things that unite the families together, and one aspect of that is that we have communities, vibrant communities around the schools that are involved, that are very active, and they are getting more and more active politically. And we believe that this is a very important agenda, hidden agenda, or now getting more as a clear agenda, that in order to make a change in the society, we don't rely on the kids to make the change. We rely on the adults the parents who decided to bring their children to the school, to this specific school, and not to the other school. So we want them to more and more to understand the responsibility of their role and taking the action in making a change, whether it's in taking part in parades or demonstrations, or saying that we don't want to be enemies, or going outside in the streets, and whenever the government declares on racist propaganda or laws even. The last one was when the government declared on the one-state resolution. We had a big demonstration with about 3,000 people who came to Tel Aviv, and not only hand in hand. Parents who said that we are against the one-state resolution. We think this country is for both Palestinians and Israelis, and we want to learn Arabic. We want to live together. We think we should have a shared, equal society. So this is very important. This is part of the whole project, the essence of being together.
Do you have Palestinian and Jews that are best friends together and socialize together outside of the school?
Oh yes, of course. I know of quite a few that they visit each other on occasions, on weekends. They stay in touch also after they finish school. Yeah, this is especially if we're talking about kids who've been for 12 years together. So of course it happens on the level of the children and the parents as well.
Are you making a difference?
Of course, I think we're making a difference. I think, first of all, we're making a difference with the people who are with us, okay? I mean, because parents who join hand in hand, not all of them come and join hand in hand ideologically. Some of them, they join because we have 2 teachers in the classroom. We have small classrooms. We are good academically, but slowly they get more involved ideologically, and this is the whole idea. We have to be excellent schools because we are schools. The idea is not to have social schools where kids finish with low grades. No, this is not. We have to be one of the best schools, but at the same time, we don't forget that we have ideological agenda, that we want to make a change. And I think in many ways, we feel that parents, first of all, are more and more aware of their role. And of course, like in any group, you find parents who are more involved, parents who are less, because we intentionally have different activities throughout the year for parents. And we have created leadership of parents. This is very important to say, that not only festivals and happy occasions that we ask them to join. We have created a core group of parents who are leaders and who are making a difference. Now, if you ask me about the larger impact, or if we are impacting the wider community, I think if we go and check with, for example, with the Ministry of Education, the people in the Ministry of Education. 10 years ago, they thought that we are very small, we hardly are heard, and they didn't very much make any effort to talk with us. And now they know that they know that we exist, we're powerful, we're professional, and we exist in the major cities. Jerusalem, Haifa, Tel Aviv, and we have excellent relationship with the key people in the Ministry of Education and in the municipalities. They know us very well. They make now they're more and more making the effort to have us involved in different programs around the city, not only in hand, which is impactful.
And what's your prayer finally for the future of the school?
First, I think that I hope that the existing schools get bigger and bigger. Right now we have 1 high school in Jerusalem. I hope that in the other locations we grow to get to high schools at least in the 3 major cities, Haifa, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem. And it's big. If we can do that, it's a big dream. Another hope is that we can open new schools as well in other major cities, and that we get our impact on other schools, other locations, other people who are not necessarily bilingual, which means being able to get to influence the regular schools, because our agenda is not to replace the regular schools. Okay, we cannot replace the regular schools. We want to be a legitimate educational stream or system that right now the Ministry of Education knows that we exist, but they do not fully financially support our schools. We depend on parents' fees and philanthropy. The Ministry of Education funds only 40 or 45% of the total budget. And in order to make these schools exist, we depend very much and rely on the 60% of the budget is on, as I said, parents and fundraising. My hope is that the government takes responsibility and believes that they have to invest in this system, and then the NGO hand in hand can put the money and the time in widening the impact.
Okay, Inas, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.